Welcome to the Bullits and Bourbon podcast, where it's not about the bourbon, but more about who you share it with.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bullits and Bourbon, episode 22 coming at you on this fine Wednesday evening. And we're super pumped up for this episode actually because we're just in that kind of drinking mood.
I mean, it's summertime.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to be at work. You just want to be sitting out on the deck, enjoying a pour. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get right into it. We're super thankful to you, to everybody that was listening and that follows us to give us some good feedback on what you guys wanted us to review tonight. And I was kind of surprised. We put up 3 really good whiskeys on there to enjoy. And the people spoke, and they wanted to see the Bardstown Bourbon Company's Amrut. I think I'm saying that right.
Amrut?
I mean, who knows? I mean,
are you thinking of Amrut back from the military days?
Yeah.
Because that's all I can think of.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it is what it is. It went head-to-head with Barrel, which I love Barrel, and Rabbit Hole Derringer, and this was the one that got the votes. And so, you know what? You guys spoke, we listened, and this is what we're going to do. Before we're doing the podcast or jumped into this, though, we enjoyed a couple of other drinks. You want to talk about which one?
I'll go with the Broken Barrel.
Go with it. Which one? This one right here, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the Broken Barrel Honey Smoked Reserve Finish.
110 proof.
Yeah.
Again, Broken Barrel just killed it again with this bottle. The flavor notes of honey, very present, very thick.
Yeah, it was a thicker bourbon.
It was a thicker bourbon, but I paired it well with an aging room cigar.
Yeah.
And it just went down very nice. Yeah. Not a big hug for 110, surprisingly. Had that nice middle range hug, but it was very, very enjoyable.
Definitely would recommend it. I'm not huge on the honey finished bourbons and whiskeys that are out there. Good Times puts one out that I do enjoy. This one just shot up to the top as far as I'm concerned. Well, when it comes to honey finished, this came in the mail literally today. We had to crack it because it's kind of like whiskey law, right? It comes in, you crack it.
Yeah, you can't have any unopened bottles.
What else came in today that I know that you want to hit?
I want to hit more like you want to hit. Oh, you're talking about the chicken cock that we didn't crack?
Yeah, so we got a chicken cock double, was a gardening gun that came in as well. We're going to hit that one up on another episode. But Broken Barrel, hats off to you guys. You did it again. This Honey Smoked Reserve is perfect. The name says it all. You have the elements of honey. You have the elements of smoke. It's an oily, great coating whiskey that just kind of really grabs you all. It's not a bourbon. It is an American whiskey, but it's delicious. And this bottle probably will not be around very long. You better buy your own.
I ordered 2 already.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
I just don't know how you got yours before I got mine because I ordered before you.
Because they love me.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
Yeah. Then I poured. You didn't want another pour because you got to drive, and I understand that. But today I got to go pick up from my favorite distillery, who I talk about all the time. Liberty Pole Spirits released their second Amberana cask whiskey. Now the first one was done in a bourbon. It was a high rye bourbon.
High rye, yeah.
And I'm actually going to revisit this, after we talk about the Bardstown Bourbon Company. But today they released their
no, not high rye.
No, just regular rye Amberana cask. And well, you go first. You took a sip and you were.
I was shocked. I was. Yeah. Jason's 100% biased because of the relationships he has.
Here we go. All right, I am.
You are.
Okay.
And our listeners will tell you you're biased. And anybody that knows you will tell you you're biased.
They make excellent whiskey.
But I was 100% shocked. The high rye was good, but the rye Amaretto cask, phenomenal. I jumped online immediately after having a sip and ordered a bottle.
Yeah, so what's really cool about this is, for those that don't understand what they do when you finish a bourbon, you're putting it into a cask of another origin, whether that's a honey, honey or a port or a Cabernet or Chardonnay, whatever, and you're finishing it. What's cool about Amberana wood is that you can get a lot of fills off of a barrel. And for whatever reason, the rye really just meshed perfectly with the Amberana would.
Yeah, it was very smooth pour.
I mean, this to me, not only does it drop kick any other Amberana cask I've ever had in the face, but it outdoes the high rye bourbon, and that's a tall order, and we'll talk about that more. So listen, Liberty Pole Amberana cask, you can go on their website. They now do ship out of state, which is awesome. 41 states, I think it is, or 46 states. I don't know, however many. It's a lot. And if you're a PA resident, you can get it shipped to you, no bueno, no problem. So check them out, Liberty Pole Spirits on the interwebs.
Yeah.
Right, and highly recommend. We're gonna talk more about Liberty Pole after we get done talking about Bardstown Bourbon Company, which, for those that don't know, I really love Bardstown Bourbon Company. I put it in my. Remember we talked about the
top 5 distilleries,
right? Bardstown Bourbon Company to me is one that it's just they're not afraid to be creative. Right,
no.
They'll go out. They hit up Founders, West Virginia Barrel Company. They don't really care, and I like that. It's kind of like this reckless abandon of, you know what, this might be really good. I'm going to go hit it, and they have not struck out a lot. So this particular bottle is part of their collaborative series, and what they did was they paired with Amrut, which is an Indian whiskey. I don't know if you've ever had it or not.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I haven't. In full disclosure, I've never had the whiskey. I almost bought a bottle a couple of months back off of the overseas site because I was kind of interested in, like, well, you know what? I got a couple of Japanese whiskeys. Maybe it's time for me to branch out, get a little bit more worldly, you know. Yeah. And I think something like Lafroig caught my eye, and I decided to spend my money on that, you know. But so. What do you think? You took a sip. I'm not going to go into the details until after you tell me what your notes were. I'd say the one sip challenge, one word challenge, but this is such a complex bottle.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely thicker.
Yeah.
It feels like definitely thicker bourbon.
What do you get for flavor notes? I mean, that's where I think it's hard with this bottle.
Vanilla.
Confusing.
There's so much going on. I can't really pick out what's what.
Overall, what do you think taste-wise?
It's good.
Yeah. Is it the best one that you've had from them, or there others?
No. There's others I enjoy more.
You enjoy more?
Yeah.
What do you think for finish?
For me, it's a little too thick on the palate.
Too thick.
Because it sticks a little bit longer on the palate to where... That's why I had it with ice.
We had it with ice, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So this is one of these that I actually had to write down on notes, which I don't normally have to do because there was so much going on with it. I tried this last week when it came in, and I think I had it neat, and then I had another glass over rocks. Craig, another member of the Bullits Bourbon crew, he was like skeptical at first. He drank it and then he liked it, but he couldn't. It was very hard for him, like you, to come and nail down certain flavor notes. So,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and it's setting my palate, the taste.
It almost confuses you a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I don't see that as a bad thing. You know, I think it's hard when we try to explain a whiskey to other people, you know, because we want to try to give you guys like what we taste, and hopefully that will be replicated when you taste it. So I knew we were eventually going to talk about this one, so I started kind of jotting down notes in my little bourbon journal thing. Yeah, I'm a nerd. It's what I do. But I pulled some out, and first I'll give you a little background on the bottle. So this is a combination of 2 ryes and 3 bourbons. So what they did was they mashed up a bunch of
say that again?
2 ryes.
2 ryes.
And 3 bourbons.
Wow.
Yeah, and the average age, believe it or not, of the whiskey was about 8 years. So it's a blend of 8, 9. I think there were some 10s, 12s, and 14s. I'd probably have to Google it and do all the nerd stuff to, you know, get in there and really figure it out. But so this is what's really cool is when they do this collaborative edition, you don't, and they tell you what, you know, on the side of the bottle, really what you get out of it. So 43% Indiana, 20% Indiana, 17% Kentucky, 15% Kentucky, and 5% Kentucky with different mash bills. So you really, what you're dealing with when the people that do these things, these are master blenders that are really, they're diving in there and they're kind of trying to get the perfect kind of I don't want to say elemental balance, but the balance of the whiskey really bringing out the notes that they want.
Okay.
Which I think they did a great job with this bourbon. What's really cool is that after they had that mix picked, they finished it for 18 months in an Amrut Indian whiskey barrel. So it had a finishing period, just like you would do for amber in a cask or, port, Chardonnay, et cetera, right? So you got those flavors that were inherent to that barrel from the Indian whiskey.
Okay.
Hindsight 2020, I wish I had gotten a bottle of that Amrut and tried it, because then I could go, all right, I'm picking up notes of this and this from that barrel. But, hey, it is what it is. What I did find was that it was so complex that between the first glass, second glass, this is my fourth glass, now I've nailed down a certain number of notes. So each time I've added to my note on
your list,
my list of what's in there. So first time through, what I got on the nose was espresso. And I don't really ever pick up an espresso note. But espresso and fig dominated it. The second and third time, and this time around, I got fig, brownies, raisins, black cherry kind of came to the front. And then what I noticed is that when I went back to drinking it neat, I got like a I don't know if this makes sense, but like a campfire taste or kind of campfire essence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Are you talking about kind of like the smoke almost, but not really smoke?
Yeah.
But like
It wasn't like smoky. It was just kind of that the flavor of like a touch of campfire. So it was really interesting because that was the last kind of note, and I annotated that in my book and on here. The last note that I got was campfire. So I don't know why that is, but that's what I picked up, and I can. And
could it be the char from the barrel, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably what it is. It was probably a higher char barrel. The palate was like a fig party going on. Like I picked up fig. I got raisins again, and I don't. Raisins is unique, and so I'm wondering if that is an Indian characteristic of their whiskey.
See, I'm not getting the raisins.
You don't get the raisins?
I've tasted the hint of espresso very, very
You eat
lightly.
Raisin Bran?
Yes, I do eat Raisin Bran.
This is a random question. You eat Raisin Bran? You like Raisin Bran?
I do.
Okay, so you like raisins.
I do.
Taste it again. I bet you get raisins now.
No,
No?
I get more the black cherry after you said the black cherry.
Yeah, you definitely get black cherry. I also picked up like a lot of dark. See, dark chocolate's not the right word. What's that chocolate that's super bitter? Like the bittery chocolate. So the English chocolate that's just super.
I have no idea.
You don't like chocolate that much?
I love my chocolate, but
You need to experiment.
I'm
with
not
more
Willy
chocolate.
Wonka.
You're Beaker.
I'm Beaker.
No, that's what. So on the palate, you get those carryover notes: the black cherry, the fig.
Get the black cherry. I can taste the black cherry. I can taste the espresso, the hint of vanilla, the char. The kind of it's not a smoky taste because smoke is not.
Yeah, it's the wrong word.
It's the wrong characteristic.
Yeah.
Wrong word. But I know what you're talking about, like the campfire taste.
Yeah, I just can't. I don't know if I can articulate that. And one of the things that we always want to do is we want to keep this as kind of bare bones and as simplistic as we can. I know sometimes I get a little carried away with the heavier notes, but that is one note I cannot communicate. It's just a campfire essence, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know.
Well, it's so vague because you know me. Usually if you ask me, hey, what's this taste like? I'm going to tell you bourbon. Tastes like bourbon.
Yeah.
This does not taste like your typical bourbon where, I'm going to pick it up, be like, yeah, it tastes like bourbon. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
That it doesn't even taste like a bourbon.
It's super complex.
It doesn't taste like a bourbon.
Yeah. I would say that of all of what I've had from Bardstown Bourbon Company, and I'm a fan of theirs. I have probably about 12 or 13 bottles on their shelves. One we need to crack open that Carter Cellar one, but normally they're even the collaborative series that they do are pretty straightforward. I can nail a couple of things right off the get. This one really did kind of challenge my palate, which I think is pretty neat because I think I need a challenge every now and then. Even down to the finish. The finish confuses me. So it's not a straightforward, heavy hug on the finish. It's like it's a medium, really short hug. It doesn't linger very, very long. Now, and I would say that would be the only detractor for me personally, is that it doesn't hang around as long as I like. But that's an individual preference. That is certainly not something that would detract, I think, from the whiskey. It may just be, and that may be by design. You know, it's enjoyable. It is one of those whiskeys where I've sipped, and it really made me come back and visit it. And I don't know if I've had a challenge on a bottle like this in a long time.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I would really like to pair this with a cigar post-podcast.
You should do it. I mean, I'd be curious, though. I wonder, like, what would go well with this cigar-wise? What do you like? What are you
it's so
toward?
bad, I might have to break out the Amazon Basin that I've been saving.
That'd be interesting. That's a
Yeah, that's a flavorful cigar.
It's a flavorful cigar. But then again, you have so many flavors going on.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. What about a Connecticut? You think a Connecticut would be too light?
I think a Connecticut would be too light.
Yeah. You don't think it would do anything to bring out more flavor from whiskey at all?
No, I think maybe New World cigar might go good with this. My Father, one of those.
Right.
Would probably pair pretty well.
I was thinking a breakfast taco, but breakfast taco would probably not go well with the breakfast taco cigar. Not, although, damn, man, a breakfast taco sounds good right now. So I'm getting hungry.
Yeah.
I said breakfast taco. But yeah, so, again, thanks, guys. This was an interesting pick. I honestly thought we were going to end up doing the barrel or the rabbit hole. And so it was really cool to see the reactions. We highly encourage you guys to keep voting. And give us that interaction. There are a lot on the shelf that we really want to kind of bring some exposure to and it highlight. And I think next week maybe we're going to hit up some more of those easy finders, like the 1792s or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ones we take for granted.
So the one thing I probably tuned you out because you get long-winded sometimes.
Oh, thanks.
But you were talking. I did listen to you were talking about the side of the bottle where it was talking about the percentages.
Yes,
but I don't know if you talked about the age. But
between 8, 10, 12,
8, 9, 10, 11, and 14 year.
Yeah.
Which they put some time and effort into this bottle for sure.
Yeah. So I think there's a bad kind of stigma when we say MGP, right? People are like, MGP, it's warehouse bourbon. But you got to remember that what goes into MGP is not just one mash bill. It's you send a mash bill off to them and they do it, or you have different distillers there that are doing their thing and storing it there. So you can go to MGP and it's such a huge operation that you can find these, I call them miracle barrels, right? These barrels that are just, man, they've been sitting there. Whiskey is whiskey. I mean, if a good mash bill in the right spot, in the right barrel, in the right climate, with the right, bleeding of the barrel and stuff, and you could have a gem on your hands. So,
well, it's like anything, because even like some of the whiskeys and bourbons we had that weren't that great, and then we dropped a spiral in there and let them sit for a year and revisited them a year later.
It changes.
It completely changes, and it becomes something enjoyable that we like, and we're like, now we need to go get another bottle, drop a spiral in there, and let it sit. So,
I mean, it really comes down to the team at Bardstown Bourbon Company, the distillers and the blenders that are going and they're tasting this, and they're looking to gauge, they're trying to find that right flavor. And I mean, all intent and purposes, it is so unique of a whiskey that I mean, it stumped the chump.
Yeah.
I mean, what it did is it really stumped me. And I really was nervous about even talking about this because I don't know if I can, and I don't know if I did. I don't know if I can do it justice.
No, you definitely didn't do it justice at all.
I don't think I can, because I don't think that when it comes to something this complex, and I'll fully admit this, that I don't know if I am leveled up to articulate it in the way that I receive that whiskey. Other than to say, it's really good, it's really complex. I highly recommend you grab a bottle. You can order this off of several websites if you can't get it in your local liquor stores. It's not overly expensive. I would tell you though, for the amount of work now thinking about it went into it, probably price. I think I got it for about $140. That's a pretty good deal for the amount of work that went into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I definitely want to grab a bottle of this. And what I want to do also is throw up on the Bullits Bourbon Facebook page.
You want to throw up on the page?
No, not throw up, but I want to throw up the size so the listeners can actually see.
Yeah, where it come from and what
the percentage breaks down and everything else. Because this is a really good bottle.
Yeah.
And for 140, I'd say this is a still.
Yeah, and the other thing about Bardstown Bourbon Company, they have the Fusion series, their own. They have the Collaborative, so they make their own, and then they do these crazy blends. And I referenced it earlier, but the Carter Cellars, which is a wine company, they did a Collaborative, and I have that bottle over there. I don't really want to crack it yet. I got to taste it. It was really, really good. I need to bust it open. I hate that. Like when I get a bottle and I've had it, and then I get one that's signed. I don't want to crack the signed bottle open.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the signed bottle that everybody picks up, and you're like, nope, put that back down.
Yeah, I need to just crack it open because what they do, like the Founders and the Goosehead, and they're like the Founders one, especially for me by Bardstown Bourbon Company. Just it embodies the best of Founders beer and the whiskey. Like you can just taste that all when you drink it in, and it's really good, and it's really easy to kill a bottle off, as he's on his third pour of this already. So, I mean, proof's in the pudding. Remember, you got to try.
I'm trying to keep them small pours, but this is really, really good. This
hit the bill?
And not a knock on like some of the Tater bottles.
Yeah.
But I'd rather drink this over than Blood Oath.
What?
Yeah.
Now, come on now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, at least the Pack 9.
Oh, yeah.
I would pick this over the Pack 9.
Okay.
100% of the time.
Wow. You like it that much?
Yeah.
We'll get you on that website tonight. Bardstown Bourbon Company, we need coupons, please. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for putting this in our must-do list. We will have another 3 out for you for the midweek episode next week. We look forward to it. Want to see what you guys want. Suggestions are always welcome. Comment, hit us up, go to the Instagram, or comment on Facebook and let us know what you want to hear about. If there's a whiskey, we always say this, tell us what you want. It's an excuse for me or him to have to go and buy it, and it's a business expense, right?
Yeah, we'll write it off.
Oh no, I mean, she can't get mad if it's for
business.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a strategy behind this. So one of the other things that was really cool, when we talked about Liberty Pool, and I'm going to bring the email up. You remember a couple weeks ago, we talked about Liberty Pool Spirits releasing their Amberana High Rye Bourbon.
Yes.
Okay. And I made this comment, and I got some hard looks from.
Yeah, I gave you. And like I said, the High Rye and the Rio, they're in 2 different categories, because you got the High Rye and you got the Rio, which is your regular bourbon or whiskey.
Well, I mean, they're both bourbons. One's a High Rye. The other one
is not a High Rye.
But when we talk about the benchmarks of Amberana finished, the one that I think pops to everybody's mind first
is the Rio.
Maybe you throw in the Starlight Amberana cask, but to me, Rio was, that I love Rio.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jennifer loves it because she clamors for every Penelope bottle she can possibly get. So,
yeah, she does.
So I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna give this to some other whiskey dudes that know their whiskey, they love their whiskey, and we're going to do a
blind. You gave it a blind. You just assigned them numbers, and you're the only one that knew what the numbers were.
Exactly. So what I did was I filled up 2 bottles. Well, actually 4, because there were about 4 or 5 guys, I think, or maybe more than that. I can look at the email. But bottle 1 was Liberty Pool's High Rye Amberana finished. Bottle 2 was Penelope Batch 3 Rio. And I sent them off with my buddy John, who I work with, and he took it home and got all his whiskey fellows together, and they sat around. And they really, this is what I really appreciate about the whiskey community, people that appreciate whiskey, is that they don't they don't just drink it and like, oh, whatever. You know, they don't throw shit against the wall and just let it sit. Like they were into it, and it was cool because they all came back with notes. And so I'm just going to kind of read this off. So what they ended up choosing overall, let me go back. Let me rewind a little bit. I called this the Rio Killer. Okay, that's what I said.
You did call it that.
And a lot of people looked at me like I was not the brightest guy in the room.
I still give you that look because it's comparing oranges to apples.
Or apples to oranges.
Apples to oranges, however you want to say it.
But that's no knock on Rio. I'm just saying it's no knock on Rio. I was just saying that when you come to an Amberana finished anything, which one is the best Amberana finished anything? And my belief was it was the Liberty Pool Spirits, but there's a lot of bias in there.
Oh, there's 100% a lot of bias.
There's a lot of bias in there, and I recognize that I have that bias. So, what's the best way to get rid of bias?
Blinded.
Do it a blind. Okay, so I sent John up, and they sat down and they graded it out. Number one won. Number one was, go ahead, you can say it for me.
It was the Liberty Pool
Spirits.
Yep, Liberty Pool Spirits.
Okay, which I was like, I don't know, I kind of felt a little moment of vindication. You know, like I told you, but that's not to throw any shade on Penelope Rio because Penelope Rio is a top-notch whiskey. I mean, you could drink those two all night long and be completely happy. You would not be upset. So, what they said was that with sample one, which was Liberty Pool, had a decent nose of cinnamon and a hint of vanilla. Taste was really where it shined. So the palate specifically was where it really came through. You got cinnamon, chocolate, honey, followed by traditional bourbon and pepper and oak. It coated the mouth well, so it was a good oily coat to it. Had a buttery texture in the back of the throat. It tasted like it had a slightly higher proof than number two. Number two was the Penelope Rio, so that's right. The finish in the Amberana barrel provided a good flavor profile, and this is important to me, but didn't corrupt the bourbon. The bourbon still shined. Okay. So the bourbon still came through, and I think that's important. So between the two of them, overall, what you got was number two, which was the Penelope Rio, was more of like you could sweeter smell to it. You had a more dominant nose of sweetness to it. And I think one of the comments in here was almost like it was a honey toffee, like a dessert.
Okay.
You know, versus when they actually tasted it, you got more of the follow through of the bourbon with the Liberty Pool Spirits, which I think is important. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you could probably flip a coin. You wouldn't be disappointed either way, but I like a bourbon flavor overall.
Yeah. You
know, to carry through. So when it was all said and done, number one was the winner, 3-2. So there were 5 guys that did it, 3-2 won. So it was close. It was close, but I was right.
So what we're gonna have to do next Friday, or not next Friday, this Friday. I know we have a guest coming on Friday.
Yes, we do. Our
but
Yep.
I'll say pre podcast production before we get lubricated before the show.
Okay. Not overly lubricated.
Not overly. I'm going to do a blind with you. I'm going to line, and I hope you still have the Oak and Eden Amaretto cask.
I don't know. Do I have that? I may.
You may, because that's the one I had last summer. I don't know if you still have it, if it still lasted that long. But I'd like to put the Rio, the Oak and Eden, and both of the Liberty Poles up and see which one.
Both of the Liberty Poles.
Both the Liberty Poles.
Okay, so when he says both the Liberty Poles, the one that they released today was the rye. And I'm curious. They may be the first place to actually do a rye Amberana cask that I know of. And if I'm wrong, guys, please tell me. But this dog right here barks.
Yeah. That was.
This is an absolute. If the one that they did wasn't a Rio killer,
I would honestly pick this over the high rye, because the high rye, you really taste that high rye.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I remember from drinking the bottles I got. I got 2 bottles.
This got a little bit of peppery to it that just kind of, it really pops that Amberana.
But it doesn't. Yeah, it pops the Amberana like that, but it's not like the high rye. The high rye, the rye kind of overpowers the amaretto to
More
give
than
that,
you think than the real rye does.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, I do.
What I get from this is almost a perfect balance between the pepperiness of the rye and the earthy tones and the cinnamon and the sweetness from the Amburana. It's almost like a perfect mate, like a perfect combination.
Well, with the high rye, I get a lot more of that earthy flavor that you're talking about with the high rye.
Really?
With this one, it's there, but it's not like your typical rye where, those earth tones take over. And it's a nice mix between the Amaretto cask and the rye.
That's funny because we both.
But then again, I only had
a sip.
Had a sip and a half.
But you took that sip, and I was watching your face, and you're like, "Whoa,
yeah,
what is this?"
It was good.
I found a new god.
It was really good.
Yeah. So, hats off, John, and your crew up there, man. We need to get together with you guys, and you guys come over to the bunker, and we do some serious tasting of some other whiskey. We really appreciate you guys blinding this for us and giving us your honest feedback. I think that's really cool. Thank you for making me right.
That's only one person. Well, wait till I blind you. Let's see what happens when I blind you.
Son, you ain't got nothing. I'm gonna absolutely blow this away. So it's just cool to see in that we still have some like passion in the whiskey industry. Especially right now. Believe it or not, we're kind of going through a little bit of a...
Well, that's what you say.
A downturn.
A downturn.
Yeah.
And you sent me, Business Weekly, Forbes, and a bunch of other articles to read.
We did some research, some homework.
Did a little bit of homework. But it's like, I don't believe everything I read.
Bruh.
I don't believe everything I see.
Okay. So the foundation for this, for our listeners and viewers, is that Forbes ran an article recently that basically said tequila is going up, whiskey's going down. That's a synopsis of it. That's a dumb man synopsis. But essentially that's what it stated. Now, at the core of it, the market share lost 2% end over end, year over year, from the end of COVID till now.
Yeah.
Tequila has gone up. And I shouldn't say tequila because I am dumb when it comes to tequila. You're much smarter than I am.
No, I am not.
Well, you're better than I am. I mean, when you say tequila, I just get a sick stomach, and I know that there are some exceptional mezcals. So we say, how do you say it? Agave?
No clue. I am not the tequila guy.
Yeah. So you guys feel free to shred us on this, but basically tequila and the higher end tequilas, and I would say stuff like.
I wouldn't even put that up there. Put that back. Put that back. Because a real tequila drinker is going to smack you for that one.
I know, probably. Well, you recommended it, right?
No. The liquor store recommended it.
Yeah, they were completely wrong because that thing has been cracked.
For like 2 years.
That's a crack and sat.
Yeah.
It just sits there. It's for show. So the short of it is that the whiskey market is starting to go down. I wouldn't say enormously. But it is a topic that there was actually a listener asked us about. They said, "Hey, what do you think about the downturn in the whiskey market?" You're not buying.
I'm not buying it.
Okay. Why aren't you buying?
So, okay, I should say I'm not buying it 100%. I'm not. I mean, you look how often we buy bourbon whiskey. You look at the people we know how often they buy whiskey and bourbon. You look at the people that are getting into whiskey and bourbon and how often they're buying it as well. I think there's a lot of craft distilleries that people are going to now. You're not pulling all the numbers. And that's what I'm looking at. You're not, because I guarantee, like Liberty Pool, they're not counting Liberty Pool's numbers in there.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. The smaller market, some of these smaller distilleries, they're not including those numbers where it's kind of like I look at it like the craft beer. Right, where everybody started going to craft beer and trying all these new companies at.
I'm guilty of that when it comes to craft beer.
And you're guilty with it with craft distilleries.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? If something pops up online, we're like, all right, let's order a bottle of this, see what it's like.
Yeah.
And I don't think those small companies are included in that formula. But then I also look at it, you got to look at the economy.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point.
I think the big thing too is you got to look at the economy. You got to look at people's pockets.
Yeah.
we both got a little bit of disposable income. Not a lot, but enough to splurge every now and then on a bottle or two.
Yeah.
But the average Joe out there, with the economy sitting at now, and the price point for bourbon and whiskey has drastically gone up.
Oh, I won't argue that. I think
it
you're
has
100%
drastically
right, yeah.
gone up. So to where you could go get a bottle for, $30 to $49. Now you're paying upwards of $69, $79, $89 for a single bottle.
Yeah.
And that's not including those $100+ bottles that you're going to buy, $140.
Yeah.
So for somebody who would typically spend $39, $49, now you're asking me to spend $60 to $80 for a bottle. I'm not going to buy as many bottles as I used to.
No, I think that's a very fair point. So one of the articles kind of addressed something similar to that, and it's kind of the collector. I think, and unfortunately, I'm in that collector category.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to say that. It's like, oh, I love this bottle. And then this releases. Oh, I love this bottle. I've forgotten about this. I'm on this. And then this comes along. And then this comes along. And then this. So the repeat customer. Now, I will say that there are a lot of whiskeys that I have that are great everyday sippers, like Elijah Craig.
Yeah.
And I've skipped the formalities. I buy the big I buy the jug of that, right? Because it's a dependable everyday sipper. But I think that the collectors, so the people that, a lot of people that may listen to this or getting into bourbon, they want to try so many things, right? And I don't blame them, because there's so many different flavors and profiles to enjoy. I don't know if they really, if they are being, if they're well represented with that studies or with these articles.
Well, I look at it too, and we say it all the time. Whiskey and bourbon's meant to be shared and enjoyed with friends.
Yeah.
And that's our go-to,
Yeah.
And the big thing is, if you got that one friend, who were over your place every weekend, every Friday, Saturday for pours.
We kill bottles.
But, me, Ty, Craig, we all, occasionally bring a bottle or two, but it's hard to bring something you do not have because you are a collector.
I'm not a collector.
Yeah.
I'm a drinker.
So
And a collector.
I posted on one of the Facebook groups, and one of the people, one of the individuals that know you, now they know me, they looked at my collection and they smacked, oh, that's all you have? You look this big compared to Jason.
I love you, Laura.
But it's like, I got a good, probably like 30, 40 bottles sitting at the house.
That's a big collection.
But when you look at a 700 bottle collection, it's like, oh, you don't have, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't need to have shit, because I'm going to go to Jason's. Because I gave him probably,
60 to 150 bottles.
Probably about 60 bottles over the year. So it's like, I don't feel bad, but I still bring a bottle. I bring the cigars.
But we're not the norm.
We're not the norm.
And I think that is the point of those articles, was that there's a downturn in the market. And you bring up very valid points of the economy and everything else. Now, when I read that initially, and when the question came to us to talk about it, which I thought was an interesting kind of like, that's a real topic. Like, we're not just BSing, right? This is very much a part of a fabric of this. The podcast is about whiskey.
Yeah.
So, part of me is like, oh, shoot, man. Like, is this dying? Are we, so I looked at it, and now we're in Pennsylvania, so we're in a state-controlled communist, hierarchy, I feel like it's like,
You love saying that I communist
do.
Pennsylvania.
Hey, listen, it's not is it a free market?
Goddamn LBC and wine and spirits stores.
There we go. Yeah. So now what I've noticed is that 2 years ago, and during COVID, I would never in my life find a bottle of Elijah Craig Toasted sitting on a shelf. True or false?
True.
Or McKenna.
True.
Or Buffalo Trace.
True.
So the last couple times I've gone in there, because unfortunately, it's a self-admittance, right? I've been camping the store because I know Blood Oath is dropping soon, and son, I will turn into that tater chaser for a Blood Oath.
That and the Heaven Hill 18.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is that there are plenty of Toasted and plenty of McKenna. And believe it or not, Buffalo Trace, which is a mixer to me.
Yeah,
it's a mixer
100%.
bottle.
It's mixer.
They still had bottles sitting up by the register. Now, PA is an allocated state, so we don't get a plethora of this whiskey in. So what it tells me is that something has shifted. That all of a sudden Toasted is not in high of a demand. And I was reading some Reddit articles that specifically spoke to this, and they were saying that they believe, a couple people on there, that within a year or two, we're going to see Eagle Rare back on the shelves, and it's not going to be a commodity item.
Well, that's like E.H. Taylor before COVID. You could find E.H. Taylor on the shelves,
correct,
just sitting there collecting dust.
Well, in 2010, you could find Pappy.
Oh, yeah.
You could find Rip. You could find George T. Stagg. You could find, William, I can't say it, Lauer on the shelf, handy. You could find that on the shelf. So I don't know if we're necessarily seeing a decline more than we're seeing people go, we're done. We're done spending these outrageous prices on the secondary market.
Yeah.
And I think we've even seen that to some degree through our mutual friend who peddles a lot of the the secondary bottles, and he's spoken to us before about this isn't something I can find that's profitable for him to do a flip, and you say what you want about the flippers and the tater chasers and stuff like that. I mean, the bottom line is in a free market economy, if there's money to be made, there's money to be made.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to hate on that, but I don't think that we're going to see Buffalo Trace's product specifically ever become easy to find. You may see Weller Green Label, which is the special reserve, and you may see Weller Red Label, the Antique 107, become something that you can find more often at an easier rate. But there is food for thought. Why am I seeing these specific bottles that 2 or 3 years ago I couldn't find? I had to fight for them. Barrel Proof Larceny, Barrel Proof Elijah Craig, Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace. Why am I all of a sudden seeing this in abundance?
Well, here's something to think about too. So you've seen the boom during COVID.
Yeah.
Seen a massive boom. The distilleries seen the massive boom during COVID. Do you think, with some of the bourbons that got to be aged for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, do you think they may have ramped up production and maybe in, another 2-3 years,
I know where you're going.
We're going to find these bottles
they
overproduced, more easy to get, because now, people aren't going to the liquor store ransacking it because I don't know when I'm going to be able to get another bottle.
So, man, I'm torn on this. So part of me hopes that that's where we get to.
Because that'd be nice.
So if you really are into whiskey for the love of whiskey, and I think that the love of whiskey is really the fellowship that we have with our friends and family, and with and talking about it with people that are random strangers. I mean, I can't tell you how many people we've become friends with because of this.
Oh, 100%.
And I mean, I've made lifelong friends over a glass of whiskey. I think for that, I can't wait. I hope that's the case. But, a lot of the, and I'm in this crowd of the Instagram, TikToker, podcaster, or whatever you want to call it, we depend on a certain limited availability of some of these whiskeys, right? To some degree. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I would love to be able to go in and grab a bottle of Pappy's and then make an old fashioned out of it.
Yeah.
But if I do that,
you're going to get bashed.
Because I did. Remember, I mixed it with Mountain Dew, and I was nuked online. I was like, look at this, this. They call
this
me
hillbilly.
This jackass. This guy thinks that. Well, to me, back in the day, this Pappy was not a big deal.
Yeah, you could find it on any shelf.
It was a higher priced bottle, but it wasn't.
Where you're paying $900
to $1,200. I mean, that's insanity, and it's just become something that's so hard to get. It's the Nike Air Jordans of the bourbon world or of the whiskey world.
Well, I'm going to throw this to you, and I know I'm 100% guilty of it now. You've seen the bourbon boom, and a lot of the restaurants and bars seeing, hey, there's a big demand for bourbon. We're going to open up a bourbon bar. But now, you know, you go to these bourbon bars. It's nice because sometimes they have the bottles you can't find. So you're willing to spend that extra money to get a pour of something you haven't had or tried because you're not going to be able to find it.
Right.
But also with the current status of the economy, I find myself not going to these bars or restaurants.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to pay, you know, $30, $40 for an ounce, 2 ounce pour.
When
I could go to the secondary market
and get the bottle, or come here,
or come here,
go to your place. Yeah, it's very hard for me to go to a whiskey bar, because I know the value of bottles.
Yeah,
it sucks. I'll be honest with you, it's a bummer. Because I remember like going to Louisville or going to Bardstown. It was in the, you know, it was like, bro, you're trying to charge me $25 for a $40, $25 for a 2 ounce pour.
Yeah.
For a $40 bottle?
Yeah.
Man, come on. I don't even want to eat your food at that point.
No.
And so I find that, like, this is when I go frou-frou. So when Jennifer and I go out, that's when I'm like, oh, let me get a gin or something like that.
Or let me get one of your cocktails.
Yeah, that pina colada looks sweet. You know?
I find myself doing the same thing. Like, if I go out and I'm on a date and I see the price of a pour, it's like, you got to be kidding me. I got this bottle in my house. I know exactly what I paid for it.
You know the taste.
And you want me to pay this? You're out of your mind. Yeah. I'll just get like some random cocktail. And
I think it takes away from it. Now, there are places that you go to and you're like, all right, you know what? You know, they have this bottle here and they could really make more off it, but they're not. And then I tend to be like, all right, I'm going to have to pour to that.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel to some degree that drinking whiskey in general has become more private for me.
Yeah.
It's much more of I want to experience it with friends, with family, with people I want to be around, good conversation, a cigar. I love grilling up meat, smoking some brisket or something like that. Like, you know, sitting out my Crocs. My Crocs, I can't get my leg up that high. I think I pulled something. Oh, sweet God. You know, I want to enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah,
you know?
And like we said, it's meant to be shared and enjoyed with friends.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, you give us your thoughts, guys. I don't. The last thing I want to see is the whiskey market revert to what it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when it was dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it's going to die.
No.
I don't think it will ever do that again because, I mean, you look at Connor who came over. He's in his early 20s. You know, and he's getting into bourbon. There's a lot of younger guys.
My daughter, she likes your
whiskey. Daughter, Andrew. Yep. You know.
Yeah, they really.
I don't know about your son because he likes his PBR and seltzers.
He's gonna hear this and be pissed. I will say this though, he did
Trulies.
Try his Trulies. He's gonna be pissed off. He did try whiskey the other day though.
Yeah,
he enjoyed it.
But again, it's something your palate has to develop.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Because when we were in our 20s, we had a shit palate. You know what I mean?
Well, we also had shit money.
Shit money too, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully, you know, we see the younger generation. What I really like about the craft is, and this is where the craft distilleries, we'll kind of, you know, come back to that. Not only are they focused on making really good whiskey, the vast majority, but they've gotten smart, right? They do really good cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
With that whiskey.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what. Never in a million years would I think I'd have like an espresso cocktail until I went to Liberty Pool.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to throw it out there because we were there with Ty and Rita.
Yep.
And I think I want to say it was Ty who had the espresso cocktail. And I was giving him shit. And he was like, no, you have to try this. Yeah. And I was like, one, I don't drink cold coffee drinks. That's not me. But I had that. Next time I went to Liberty,
sucking those things down.
The very next time I went to Liberty Pool, I had two of them. They were good.
So Ellen Huff she is the cocktail mistress of the universe. She and her team, they make some super creative drinks. I mean, I would be diabetic.
Oh,
Because I would suck those things down like they're nothing. Yeah.
The scary thing is when Eric Flanagan and Rachel Flanagan, they released their simple syrup.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be trouble because I never
had an old fashioned that good.
Never had an old fashioned that good.
Yep.
But the way Eric made that old fashioned, I was like, it
was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
And it was the syrup. It wasn't a thick syrup. It was just. No. It tasted very, very natural and smooth.
Yeah, that's a really super cool product that they're going to bring, to the market, and it's going to. I think it's going to really help bars and restaurants that don't have time to do smoked drinks. They're going to have a smoked drink. Yeah, it's going to really it really changes the cocktail game. And I think that there are so many things you can do with whiskey and bourbon and scotch with cocktails and rye that we haven't, we're just kind of at the very tip of the iceberg. So maybe that's a future for whiskey, is that they get more into the craft cocktail, craft mixology game. Vodka will always be there. Rum will always be there because it's a sweeter spirit. Tequila, yeah. I don't know where I go with the whole agave. I don't know how to say it, but that stuff.
That stuff.
Because part of me, I do want to try it because I've heard great things. I got to get past the whole what tequila did to me in Korea. Because
that's the big thing. When you're in 20s, or I don't even want to say Korea, but tequila you do some dumb shit drinking tequila.
Yes, you do.
You do tequila, you black out, you do some dumb shit. But
you blacked out?
Oh, I blacked out all the time on tequila.
Did you black out in a benjo ditch naked?
Not naked.
Then you didn't black out.
I blacked out. I got blackout stories.
If you're going to do it, you do it right.
But that was usually off of soju, not tequila.
Same.
Not at all. Not at all. Koreans and Mexicans are both offended right now.
I meant no offense. I'm just saying that you put out a hefty product. That was where I was going with it. So, listen, it's all star. It's all star worthy. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, eventually maybe I'm going to get into to the agave.
Sure.
How do we not know how to pronounce this?
Because we don't drink tequila.
Yeah.
If we're
tequila,
bad
spellers.
Yeah, we're not the brightest tools.
We joined the military. That's what we did. It is what it is. So I don't know. You guys drop us your thoughts. And if you're curious about getting into whiskey, and you listen to this because you just like hearing a bunch of dudes that are dumb talk. I highly encourage you. Start off if you're nervous about trying to get into it. Go to a whiskey bar and start off with a craft cocktail. Start off with an old fashioned. I think that might be a Manhattan.
A Manhattan.
See, you're a Manhattan guy. I'm an old-fashioned guy.
Because it depends who makes it. You really can't screw up a Manhattan, but I've seen people screw up old fashions.
Yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the most beautiful sound in the world.
Well, I'm about to finish this so I can get a pour of that.
No. Okay, you can have a pour. Because you just ordered a couple bottles yourself. So I'll put it right there for you.
So, as soon as I get that bottle, I'm just going to bring it here.
Yeah, you got to. So just full disclosure, Dan, Craig, and Ty all have what we call the library.
The library.
What's the library, Dan?
We each got our own shelf.
So they have their own shelf. Dan's has mostly been stocked with cigars because he's the cigar guru. But he has put a lot of cock on that shelf.
I knew you were going to go there.
I'm sorry.
Chicken Cock, just sponsor me. Just send me shirts, send me hats. I will push Chicken Cock all day long.
What Dan is saying is that Dan will handle some cock all day long. No.
Chicken Cock Bourbon. I'm telling. Look, if you're getting into bourbon, Chicken Cock, they have a phenomenal product. They got a phenomenal line, and next week I'm ordering a lot more. I can't even look at you.
You're ordering a lot more what, Daniel?
Chicken Cock. Well, I want to get the Cotton Club, and I'm going to get, what is it, the Red Stab?
I bet you do.
Oh, man. That's a great product. That's my go-to bourbon.
In full disclosure, I ordered a bottle of double oaked Garden and Gun Chicken Cock tonight because I felt like I was picking on him too much for it, and it really is good whiskey.
Well, the ethos. The ethos.
Yeah, the ethos was delicious.
We've killed that bottle already.
Have we?
It's
getting there?
It'll be finished by the weekend.
Some bitch.
So I'm going to have to order a bottle of the Ethos, the Cotton Club, and the Red Stave.
Yeah, that's good. That'd be a good reload. So real quick before we finish up, I got to ask you this.
All right.
What are your thoughts? Because this has been in the news cycle.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the Olympic snub for Caitlin Clark?
We kind of talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of torn because she's been putting up good numbers, even though
really she leads all rookies.
Yeah, she leads all rookies. Mm-hmm. But the more and more I thought about it, and I try to compare it to men's NBA, I was like, what she done with her in that whole class. I can't even say her because you got Cameron Branks, yep. You got Reese, Angel Reese,
yep.
And a bunch of other phenomenal WNBA superstars that came up in this class that has attracted so much attention to women's basketball.
But who is attracting the attention to women's basketball right now?
All of them.
But who is constantly on ESPN and who is in the news cycle?
Caitlin Clark.
Okay, let's go from there.
All right. So here's my thought process. Should she have been selected for the Olympics?
Yes.
I want to say yes, but here's the reason why I'm going to say no.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm going to shock you.
You don't like women.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Compare it to the NBA.
Okay.
How often, and you're going to go back to the 80s to say back in the 80s before we had the dream teams.
Yep.
Before we had the dream teams, when it was all people coming out of college. Okay. That's where you're going to go to. But how often does men's NBA rookies get elected to the Olympic team? Think about that.
Well, I don't know. Think about you make a valid point. Here's my counter argument really quickly on this. They took Griner, who played in how many games this year?
2 games.
2 games. Okay. Over and dude, she comes with baggage. I don't care what anybody says. We gave as a nation.
We're not going to dive into that. I know where you're going to go.
As a nation, we gave up one of the most dangerous men in the history of arms dealing to get her back. Okay. Instead of taking somebody like Caitlin, who has energized female athletics on a level we haven't seen in our lifetime. I'm just saying what she has been able to do for women's basketball has been transformative. Her, Angel Reese, Brinks. What they have done, that class has got people to start watching women's basketball, not out of novelty, but you're watching the greatest female college basketball player and the all-time scoring basketball player, men or women, ever. We're watching WNBA at levels that have never been seen before.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Now, if the goal of Olympics is to pit your best, okay, and to attract people to your sport, right? My math says, even if she doesn't see a lot of playing time, she is the next generation of the women's Olympic basketball team. True or false?
Oh, I agree 100%.
Why don't you have her on the team?
And honestly, I think it's because she's a rookie. A lot of people are looking at a lot of other issues and social issues and everything else. But honestly, I think it's because she is a rookie.
If it truly 100% is because she's a rookie, I can be cool with that. But I don't believe anything is the way it appears on the surface.
100%.
That's my problem with it.
100%.
That's my problem.
And I have a feeling, and I'm hoping it works out this way. I hope that's more fuel to her fire to where she comes out.
Tears it up.
And tears it up for the rest of the season with the snub.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling in 4 years, you're going to see Reese, you're going to see Brink, you're going to see Clark. And in 4 years from now, there isn't a team in the world that's going to beat the women's.
No. Look, either way, right or wrong, we disagree on this to a degree. Hats off to our women's national basketball team. I hope you guys go in and just absolutely put foot to ass. all of our Olympic teams. I mean,
100%.
Paris is coming up, and I'd love to see America step back onto the stage and do it with class and do it with honor and represent our country with pride
and respect.
That's huge. And go out there and compete for your nation, and do it with class all the way around. When you win with class. When you lose with class. And at the end of the day, really just kind of represent the United States in the best manner you possibly can.
Yeah,
that's all we can ask for.
100%. So I have a question, right? When you throw trash away, what do you say before you throw trash away? If you're shooting to the trash can over there and you're throwing your notes away.
Kobe?
Okay.
Kobe?
So a lot of people say Kobe.
Yeah.
When we were younger, we used to say what?
MJ. Bird.
Jordan.
Magic.
Jordan?
Yep.
All right. I've even heard people say Curry.
Yeah, Curry.
There's kids now saying Clark.
That's what's up.
That's the crazy thing.
That's the big thing. Yep.
In a male's PE class, guys are actually throwing up threes yelling Clark.
How cool is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anybody say James? Go debate over!
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this latest episode. As always, thank you so much for giving us your time. We're going to have some shorts up, and we're going to get these reels posted. Also, check us out on YouTube. We have the video up so you can see our stupid faces.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.
We're on all those?
We're on all of those now.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. Also, we're going to put up a poll next...
say Monday, probably Monday, Tuesday-ish.
Monday.
Probably Monday. Yeah.
What you guys want to see us drink. Dan has said that he's not afraid of peat, so, we're open to doing some scotch in the near future. And... coming very, very soon, we will have our website up with our merchandise. And, I've got a wicked crazy mind. We got some cool merchandise coming out to you soon, and we look forward to bringing that to you. Until then, as always, thank you for tuning in, and stay thirsty, my friends. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast of Bullits and Bourbon. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.